The history of stained glass is the tracing of a really important art form that includes images, but it also includes the reflection of light itself. Stained glass largely came in the Gothic era with the Gothic Cathedral. There were structural things in the Gothic period, the flying buttress, that allowed the wall to be opened up. And so consequently, the stained glass can go into it. So it's a really symbiotic system. Also, the buildings were full of sculpture, some of which carried the same imagery as the glass, so that the same thing would hit you again and again and again. I think a lot of medieval glass scholars would say that people did not read these things literally, and that the idea that they functioned as direct Bibles for illiterate people probably isn't so. It's possible that there were guides who told people what was in the window, but you wouldn't get it without a text and without a guide. Most of them are quite complicated, and they do function much more through this combination of how they look and affect you, rather than by linear narratives. One of the things we're really used to is image saturation. I mean, we all flip out our phones, we have images all over the place, but people didn't see a lot of images, especially in the heyday of the Gothic period. There was no visual prints. You had to be really rich to own a painting. People really lived in an image desert. And this huge building, which creates this effect with these images, it's not like anything anybody's seen. The period between the middle of the 16th and the middle of the 18th century is usually seen as a low point in the development of stained glass. The Catholic Church, for one thing, started favoring a Renaissance architectural style. And a Renaissance architectural style is based on the style of the Greeks and the Romans. And so, of course, stained glass doesn't fit in that kind of architecture. The Reformation had a very problematic relationship with visual imagery, all told. It went from people smashing it actively to get rid of it, to just not building it, not having, say, for example, crucifixes in churches. It all went away. People weren't supposed to be looking at pictures of any sort that kind of made up things that weren't in the text. The Gothic Revival was a period in the 19th century which had an ideological component as well as a practical component. And its idea was that the Church of England had gotten too rational, and that to return to ritual activities, incense, vestments, and churches that looked like medieval churches would help people's spirituality. The fact that we can bring our own sensations to the image makes it particularly valuable. And when people were thinking about how to enliven religion, it underwent a tremendous upswing. And of course, the glass is very important in the creation of this kind of emotive space. And so when modern architects are trying to create space that creates a particular effect or feeling, they will sometimes use stained glass, often in religious buildings, sometimes in other kinds of buildings. I think one of the reasons stained glass has endured for a long time is that it's both a window, but it's also an image. But it also conveys a particular message because it suggests that what you see isn't all there is.